The ego is the system that runs your sense of self. It is made out of thought patterns, emotions, and behavior loops, and the stories that try to hold it all together. Left unchecked, it creates endless existential searching, chronic disconnection, and the persistent sense that something is wrong. The goal of my videos is clarity, to see your identity and its contradictions for what they are, named precisely, to finally understand what it is that we're all running away from. There's something particularly disturbing when you realize the tautological nature of reality. What I mean by that is that everything that exists simply is what it is, and there's nothing that you can really do about it. And this realization actually happens quite early in your life. Actually, it happens when you are a baby. When we are a baby, we cry in order for our caregivers to care for us. And when you look into how babies perceive the world, they actually don't have a clear difference between themselves and their caregivers or their parents. They see themselves and their parents as basically one and the same. So when a baby cries, there's the sense that the entire universe is demanding its utmost attention, or, you cease to exist. That's the perspective of the baby. I'm hungry, so I cry, or everything implodes. So it isn't really manipulative in some malicious sense, but clearly we are, from the date we are born into this world, programmed to cry out loud and rebel and look for something to take care of us so that we don't die. Now, nobody has chosen to be in this precarious situation. So we all want to feel connected, want to feel love, don't want to cease to exist, and want to be cared for just naturally. And then throughout our adulthood and while we age, we start to manipulate other people in order to feel this care and connection and safety in our environment. And when we can't get that, we lash out. We become aggressive or very sad and depressed and don't express ourselves. This same instinct to try to manipulate other people so that they can care for you, the same instinct is what we have according or towards reality. We need reality to be safe and comfortable in order for us to not start crying and be miserable about it. But reality doesn't work how caring parents do. It is cold and has put you into the world in the first place, into a world that doesn't seem to carry your own interest, that doesn't care particularly for your survival. A place where everything can just go boom because a meteor decides to land on this place. So whatever reality is, clearly is at least chaotic neutral, like it doesn't have a clear instinct for your own personal protection. So then we learn to always try to manipulate existence and manipulate our own environment. And we get slowly but surely into this illusion of control. We believe we have actual power to influence our own environment. And I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? Look at what humanity has built. Look at all our civilization. Look at all of our technologies and societies. Like, to say that humanity has no impact on the shape of the planet is absolutely ridiculous. So the idea that you might have no control over your own life might also seem pretty ridiculous. Now, what you have to distinguish here is sincere control and the illusion of control. Like when a baby starts to cry because their mother is not giving attention, like the attention that the baby needs, and the baby starts to cry and the mother then starts to care for the baby. Is this actually control, or is this a mechanism just panning out how it is supposed to? The same with your own life survival, right? You go, to have a job, to make money, you have a career, you have friendships, you try to care for your health. But almost everybody nowadays hasn't really their life in perfect order. There usually is always some sort of personal struggle, internal conflict, struggle for survival, or just struggle to find meaning and purpose in a world where everything seems to work against this meaning and purpose. So there's still this mechanism always working, trying to change reality in a way in order for it to secure our own survival. And then the entire human body is this architecture to fuel this system. When you suddenly have a deep session of introspection or realization through meditation or other spiritual practice, contemplation, or even reading philosophy, it can trigger something in the mind where suddenly the sense of control does feel like an illusion, and all seems to be a product of pre-programmed ideas and habits from our biology. And then it can hit you like a truck that your entire sense of control was fake and propped up by this entire machinery that you then have started to believe in as your actual identity. And then when this drops away, you notice you were not in control, and there has never been an out to the painful nature of reality. That if existence right now decides to just let everything burn into flames, then there's nobody really there to protect you from it. That the universe is really this cold and almost nasty in many ways is what makes people want to believe in a god of some sorts, some motivating force of compassion and goodwill that guides us all, even beyond this feeling that the universe is so cold and unaccepting. Now, this desire for some deep connecting compassion that guides us into a better future, when you feel into the nature of what it is like to be a human or what it is like to connect with another and to appreciate existence, there's an interesting alignment there with, this feeling of higher purpose. Because in order to transcend towards a higher purpose, you actually have to acknowledge the current situation that you're in. And the situation that we are all in is that there is absolutely no exit. Existence and reality for everything that you see as true is exactly how you perceive it to be. You have to move through it. There's no magical escape hatch where you suddenly remove existence. Like, even if you imagine yourself to die, you're not solving the actual problem of existence because you are a very small part of this entire schema. So to pretend that even if your biological body dies, existence just disappears forever and everything is just like this black hole from your perspective and you can just stop caring, it is pretty much an illusion because you know that your family and friends survive your own death. You know that there's something real at the other side of your own perception, even though you don't have direct access to it. In the same way, you don't have access to all of possible states of existence, but you know for a fact that they are real. And they are real no matter what your mind wants to think or escape from or try to control. So in this framework, reality is kind of like a fixed system, and it runs itself out, like it runs through its course, through all the different agents, like every human being, every cell in your body, every piece of bacteria or plant life, all converging and interconnecting and communicating to create the reality that we're in. And you might say, okay, this is kind of deterministic, right? Like the universe is just built in a way and then everything runs its course. And this is where the sense comes from that, there is not really a control to it, and that you might feel kind of trapped in your own body because, hey, you didn't decide this. But if there's truly no exit and everything is exactly how you perceive it to be in the moment you perceive it, like if you feel an emotion, then this emotion is there, like as a factual statement, then there's not really any reason to reject that or to doubt that. And if you see how dark the world is and how much yes, suffering exists there. Any part of you that wants to kind of move away from it or not experience it is delusional. You are rejecting the factual nature of reality. So, to embody your full sense of being, you basically must become reality again. You need to remove the mind that tries to think always in terms of problems and solutions. Because when you were like a little kid or like a baby and you cried whenever you needed something, it both might seem like a very manipulative form of being, but actually it's authentic. Like, this is just what babies do and what innocent fawns do. If they need protection, they will cry for help. And in a way, all of what humanity is doing is crying for help. But instead of doing it directly, it does it indirectly by just destroying itself, by ignoring its own desires or communicating openly about what it needs. There is no exit, but this body is a vessel of perception, and it can create everything you want to perceive. If you embody what you are and don't try to imagine to be something else, then everything is going to flow much more easily, much more peaceful, because you're not trying to pretend that there's a way out of your situation when there isn't, because you are the situation. You are one with your circumstances, and you're one with the experience of your circumstances. So when you notice how inevitable it all is, then you realize how everything is simply itself. Foundationally, there's just isness everywhere. And there's no way to make it into something it's not. And every attempt to make an experience something that it is not causes more suffering. The implication of noticing that this is the case is horrifying, because it implies that so much of your own mental suffering and anguish and problem solving and obsession and personal narrative was absolutely useless. You caused your own suffering, and you caused this insatisfaction with life. When looking at it objectively, things are perfect. They are exactly structured how physics says that they should be structured in this precise moment. And the mental overlay is what makes it into something that, is just unlikable. Moving through the sense that reality is accepting and is okay how it is like, is the aspiration towards a godly force, to a higher good that transcends our own nature or our own need for just selfish absolution. The feeling that you need to be a hero in order to mean something, that you need a personal purpose in order to make things okay. When a real logical look at things is that you don't matter that much. And this does not mean you don't have any impact. It's that the personal story doesn't matter that much. It is one facet out of endless amounts of facets. And still, every single thing is perfectly at the right place, at the right time. And seeing that this is not some philosophy, but the nature of physics, that this is just how things are structured, gives a tremendous amount of peace. It also moves you forward into a life that is nice to live, plus it is productive, because there's no friction anymore. There's nothing that tries to find oneself, because everything is how it is meant to be. To reach this mental state, you first must believe that it is possible to reach this mental state, that it is something that you can see and connect with, and then you must be willing to deconstruct all the old conditionings that have caused you to basically be stuck in your own loops. Stuff that you have learned in your childhood that then has become maladaptive. I can map out your personal identity structure and tell you where the conflicts in your identity lie. I've developed a protocol that I call my Ego Architecture Audit, where I move people through the entire identity architecture and show them where the conflicts lie. When you see that it is really just your own mind that constructs all of reality, and that there are particular ways to understand yourself that also shifts how you experience reality and move through reality, life becomes very different. Because now it's not just an evil universe trying to force its will onto you, but it is an interconnective system that you are intimately a part of. You cannot separate yourself from reality because you are it. Your physical body is exchanging energy, air, atoms, molecules, nutrients, heat, space with the environment all the time. To assume that your consciousness is somehow separated from actual reality makes zero sense. You are in reality as much as reality is in you. There is no exit.